welcome back to HCG Diet Interviews with Everyday People. Today, our focus is going to be on the P3tolife program, and I have Elena with me today. She's going to share her success using the program. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's actually a structured, comprehensive program for phase 3 after HCG, something that has honestly never existed before. There are occasionally, a few worksheet pages out there by different clinics that might kind of give you a general overview of what to eat, but this is completely different. It's very full and comprehensive, and what's nice is that you get a chance to hear how it's working for real people. If you want to find out more about it, you can go to P3tolife.com. That's where you can find out all about the program and enroll if you choose. But first, I hope you'll listen to Elena's story so you can kind of get a feel for what it's all about. So welcome. Thanks for being with me today, Elena.
Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. So I wanted to just get right into it, and we're just going to be focusing on phase 3 in the program for you. What were your biggest concerns when you were, thinking about going into phase 3?
Well, I think what I said in my questionnaire was failure, because this is my 3rd or 4th round of HCG, and my biggest thing is getting into P3. So excited to have more food and variety, and I always failed. So it would take me a while to gain the weight back, like I said, maybe a year, but it's always the same 20 to 30 pounds that I would have to lose again.
Gotcha.
So this time, due to health concerns that happened over last year, I was not able to walk like I was. I was walking up to 5 miles a day. I did a half marathon and was really just pumped to do all that. With the health concerns, I was not able to walk anymore.
Gotcha.
And so all these wonderful people were bringing all kinds of food for me to help me, right?
Oh gosh.
So needless to say, the weight just ballooned and everything went out of control. My thyroid, my everything, my medications, everything. So my biggest thing was failure, because I always failed. And the program I was on, I just didn't want to increase my same foods.
Yeah.
So I kept searching and searching and searching for, what can I eat? And I heard you say seat of your Pinterest pants, and basically, yeah, that's what I would do. P3, and somebody tagged this as P3. Right. So, I can have that. But now I've learned so much with this program that I came across your program, actually, and I thought about it. I talked it over with my husband, and I'm like, should we? And he's like, if you really want to, do it. And I said, okay. So when I got it and I started looking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe what we were going to be eating.
Yeah.
So I was just blown away.
Aww.
Blown away. And the portions and just the taste, it was wonderful.
That's
so
good.
My biggest thing was failure. I was afraid to fail again, and I didn't want to go into P3 doing the same things over and over again.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it sounds like since you've had experience with doing prior P3s, you kind of already had been there, so you knew the challenge because you were struggling with regaining the weight over time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, well, so if you were to explain in just a few sentences why the program's been valuable to you now that you've been through it, what would you tell them?
Well, I would have to say that that it has taught me how to cook for my body, what my body reacts to, what it doesn't react to, how much I'm supposed to eat, the different flavors, it's just, I learned so much. It's really hard to put into words exactly what this program has done for me. Because I'll just say it, before my stroke,
Yeah.
I was working full time. My husband was working full time. We would fall into that, oh, I'm just too tired. Let's just pick something up. Or
Right.
he would cook his go-to meals all the time. Um, it wasn't necessarily what my body needed.
Right.
So now, when I introduce something into my diet now, I pay attention to my body, and I'm like, oh, it's not reacting very good to that.
Yeah.
Might start get a bloat going on or something.
Right.
So it really just has helped me understand what works well with my body.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's so good to hear. It's funny what you mentioned too about your husband making, what he makes, and it might not necessarily be the right thing for you to eat per
Yeah.
se. My husband, he's a really good cook too, and he makes really
Yes.
good meals. He uses fat in meals very liberally, and I mean, I'm not against fat. I mean, I probably
Right.
eat 50% fat in my diet, but he's just very heavy-handed.
Yes.
And so like he'll make something and I'll like not eat very much of it and all of a sudden I'll feel like
Yeah.
super full. Like and I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, and it's just a bit too heavy for me. So I should probably take a small portion of what he made and then add a few more vegetables that don't have the oil in it just to
Yes.
balance it out.
Perfect.
But
I totally get that. So,
I mean, it sure tastes good.
yes, absolutely.
That's funny. Well, so what did you, I guess we kind of probably covered it already a little bit, but like, what did you feel like you had from following the program that you didn't have in past three P3s when doing it on your own? Is there anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, just the program itself, a direction,
Yeah.
like where before you're just kind of picking from here, picking from there, and, oh, I'll try this, but it really just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe for some it does, but as strict as you have to be in P2, and then you get excited about P3 and you look forward to it, but then the whole ah
Yeah.
happening.
Right.
So you start looking and researching, and I don't think you realize, or at least I didn't, when you're introducing this stuff back into your diet, that you may react to that.
Right.
Where flour, for
Yeah.
example, I
Right.
still haven't introduced flour or sugar back into my diet. I don't want to, because as soon as I do, watch out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? I don't want to fall off the cliff.
Yeah.
So,
No, totally.
but I've learned to change things a bit.
Cool.
Um, when so having a plan, having meals, and I use the one that you had set out, because I'm like, if I trust myself, it's no good. So I trusted you the entire way, and I just followed that. And towards the end of the third week, just because of some of the meals aren't necessarily anything that we would eat, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they weren't good. It's just
Right.
something we wouldn't necessarily eat. I'd get the face, from the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Um, so we just pretty much stuck to week 1 and 2 and introduced more healthy fats like
Cool.
avocado. I'd add
Nice.
avocado to a wasa cracker or something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Um, so I would just introduce the healthy fats and stay away from the flours, the
Right.
sugars, and things like that, because I know that once I eat one is not enough. It's kind of like the potato chips.
Yeah. I hear you. I still have the same struggle. That's why there's like certain things I'm just like, you know what? It's just best I just avoid those things. It's just
Yeah,
can't control it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think having it laid out
Good.
really helps. As much as P2 is laid out, your P3 program is laid out to
Yeah.
where we just pick it up and say, what am I having today? Okay, that's it, and
Right.
off we go.
Cool.
So,
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because some people do ask about that when they're looking over the program. They're not sure like how specific it is. And yeah, it's completely, it's the actual, not only the recipes, but you're not even deciding, I mean, you can totally change it, but you're not even deciding, like, you know, which recipe to have which day or how to combine them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's all laid out in the meal plan so that there's a certain structure to your calories so that they gradually raise each week, because that's actually a huge component of the program, is that they should go up gradually. You know, so yeah, so it's very specific. And I liked what you had said too, just about like the difference of doing it on your own, like, you know, with Pinterest. Like, I love Pinterest too, you know, and now there's that app Yumly. I don't know if you guys have heard of Yumly. It's an app. I love that too. And so it's I love the idea of it, but the truth is I would just end up pinning a lot of recipes, but then, like you brought out, the challenges that you have to then figure out, what do I need to change? What is the proper portion size, right? And that's where you end up getting into trouble.
Right. So if something had flour and sugar, so now I change that into either coconut flour or almond flour, which I do believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe it's 1-to-1. If you're changing out flour, you can change it out for almond flour 1-to-1.
Typically, I think with the coconut flour you would use a little less, but you're right, the almond flour is typically the same.
So, and I have found that I enjoy the almond flour and the almond milk better than the combination of the two, or just straight coconut milk. But I do enjoy that.
And then, like, the challenges is with, like, on Pinterest, if it's a recipe, like you said, that you learn to switch out, the calories change drastically when you replace flour with almond flour, because almonds are actually more really a fat. So then the calories are a lot larger, and then you kind of technically need to eat a smaller serving size, which we aren't good at. You know, so that's why the whole, this was specifically designed for following HCG. It's like, it's completely special to you guys. It's not taken from something else like paleo or ketogenic or something else. It's tailored specifically to following of the 500 calorie, you know.
So, like you said, you know, when you adjust that in your program in the back, or your meal plan, towards the end, I would experiment a little bit, and I'm like, okay, if I change this, I'd look at that fruit compared to the fruit that you had. And then I adjust all my totals accordingly, you know, or if I add a quarter of an avocado, I adjust that to my fat, you know. So, I'm still learning, but I just to have all this information is just, it's really so helpful.
I'm glad. I'm so glad to hear that. And you mentioned that you did the original plan. So for those of you who don't know, in the program, what's nice is when you get it, you'll have access to a variety of ways, because we all have different lifestyles. So the original plan is what provides the most variety of recipes. So it has the most recipes and the most variety, and it's a little more cooking. There's a simplified version that some people use with less recipes, but you'll get access to all of it. But at least it gives you a plan. You can decide which one. And so you ended up getting to have the most variety. So that's really cool. So tell me now, did you, as far as the process goes, correction days, a lot of people wonder about this. Did you end up having to do any correction days while you were following the program?
I can proudly say I had 0 correction days on P3 with your program.
That is great. Now, did
proudly say that.
Yay! I'm so happy to hear that. You feel like you've climbed a mountain or something, huh?
Yes. You know, and because I wasn't used to the portions, and like I said, I would get up every morning just expecting to be, you know, way up, have to correct or whatever, just because I couldn't wrap my head around how much I was eating throughout the day, how good it was, how healthy it was. And then to still, my body just react the way it's supposed to and be absolutely fine. I still am amazed by that. I just find that so wonderful.
You know, like, I can actually eat and feel satisfied.
Yes. Yes. You mean I don't have to just eat this little portion? And even my husband's like, are you sure the portions are correct? And I'm like, yeah, I just followed it and doubled it because I would double the recipes. That way there were 3 of us who eat dinner.
Yeah.
And then, so most of them make 2 servings. So I would double it. All of us would have dinner, and then I'd have my lunch already made for the next day. So I was ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so
Mhm.
good. And I'm so glad to hear that too, that you're getting to eat more than you thought you could, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
It's amazing.
that's great. So it's like if before you would have, if you had done it on your own, you feel like you would have thought to yourself that you should eat less or something like that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
absolutely. That's what I would do is I would not eat the correct portion size, or I'd skip breakfast and then have lunch, or maybe have something light for lunch, and then next thing I know, oh, I'm too tired again, and it's just not good. So
Gotcha.
now I get up, I look forward to breakfast. I still make the chia pudding, I still make the eggs, um, and that's basically my breakfast. And the mug bread. Oh my gosh, the mug bread.
You
Yeah.
like it? Good.
The
That's good.
apple, and like I said, I changed the blackberries out for
Yeah.
blueberries.
Totally fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
You
good.
have to try it if you haven't already.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, because those are really accessible too. I think a few others have done that as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's awesome.
I made it with bananas one time, like half a banana.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like having banana bread,
Oh,
and
nice. There's actually, because you're one of the founding members of the program too. So I think it's week 5 coming out, and there's a banana nut protein muffin recipe.
oh,
So you'll like
can't
that.
wait.
Yeah,
I
it's coming
can't
out.
wait.
It's really good. I actually just photographed it yesterday. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
can't
it'll be
wait.
fun. It'll
So.
be great. Well, tell me, what are your tangible results then from following the P3 to Life program, like with your weight and your size and all that?
Sure. When I started my P2 this round, I started at 165 and change.
Yeah.
And then, of course, load, that's a love-hate relationship,
Yes.
So then I was up to 169 and change.
Okay.
And after I did the 42-day program,
Yeah.
so that was a very long 6 weeks, but I took it one day at a time.
Yeah.
And then when I hit P3 maintenance, I was at 143.
Okay. Gotcha.
The lowest I got dropping down on your program was like 141, right there where the 2 pound. So the next day I'd get up, okay, do I have to correct myself? What happened? And sure enough, I was just right back where I needed to be. So I may have dropped like a 0.6 or gone up a 0.6, but I always maintain within that 2 pound limit.
That's awesome.
So that's why I never had a correction day.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And now, I mean, my goal is 135.
Okay.
So now I'm watching my calories. I'm eating 3 meals a day plus snacks like apple chips or something like that.
Yeah.
And dessert. And right now I am at 137.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
So, I did maintain perfectly on the program, and then now, even though I'm eating, 1,400 calories a day or so,
Yeah.
my body is still doing well.
That is fantastic. So you're basically losing gradually on 1,400 calories a day.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically.
that is wonderful.
Yeah, and I started doing some toning exercises, and when I feel up to it, I will go out for a walk. It just depends. I have good days and bad days.
Sure.
But, it just depends.
You also mentioned that you have Hashimoto's.
Yes.
Too, which I have as well.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to hear how did you make, because there is cooking involved and stuff. So how did you make that work with the challenges of having health issues? Like, because you probably feel really tired at times and stuff.
Yeah, there were days when I would come home from work because I'm on a modified work schedule. That actually works out really well for me and the family. I usually am home by 3:30 or 4, and Wednesdays are a half day. So I'm able to take that time and rest.
Gotcha.
And then when it's time to cook dinner, I've had my rest in, and I can then my brain is ready to think cooking, because when I come home from work, I just have to shut my brain down because it's just it's too much.
Right.
So I do that for maybe an hour or so and just relax, and then I think about cooking dinner.
Cool.
And it worked out really well. And Wednesdays, like I said, I'm usually home by 1, and I really have that full half day to rest. So that's how I made it through with all the cooking recipes and everything.
Gotcha. That's good to hear. Yeah, and and that's nice too that you've learned that having those rest periods seems like it refreshes you enough to then kind of do that. Because I was thinking sometimes, because I have some chronic health issues too, and so sometimes when you feel really tired or like you get to that point where you're just beyond, you can't.
Yeah.
You kind of don't know when you're going to feel better, or in that moment you might not be sure that you're going to feel better anytime soon.
Right, exactly.
And you might go ahead and just start scarfing stuff down because you're like, well, but what I've learned also what it sounds like you've learned is I have learned that if I rest, that I will feel better in maybe an hour or two. And so that I don't have to just scarf stuff down, because I know, like, okay, if I just give myself an hour or two, I'll probably feel better, and then I can do something that's healthy, you know?
Right.
So.
And having the recipes there, I actually put it into like a little recipe book.
Oh, that's neat. So that's the printable version, you guys. You can see this. So there's a printable and a device version. So this is the printable, so it's black and white, so that it's easy to print out. Cool.
So I have this on the kitchen counter, and those days that I was really said, "Hun, I'm sorry, can you please cook dinner?"
Yeah.
He would just go to the book, and there it is for him.
Perfect. What a sweet hubby too.
Yeah, he is.
That's good. That's awesome. How did you feel about, as far as like the portion sizes and the taste of the meals? Like, how was that for you?
It's so filling, and there was never a time I went hungry.
Okay.
Matter of fact, there were a couple times, especially when you first start, like week 1.
Yes.
And you're slowly increasing your, it's hard to get up even from, P2 just in the first week, and P3, it's really hard to get up there because your stomach, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So I would just slowly increase it, and I would make whatever you said to make.
Yeah.
And then if I could eat it all, great. If I couldn't, I couldn't.
Smart.
But now I'm like, oh yeah.
You have your
it's on.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I always encourage everyone doing the program, like if you are, like, especially like you said, usually it's more just the first week. Even though the calories are low, because of the way the program's designed, there's plenty of food still. And so for some people, they end up getting full before the full portion is eaten, which is fine. Yeah. Like, you do not have to like stuff yourself. It's always nice to know that there's extra, or, to me, it's better that you have enough than not have enough,
Right.
And so it's laid out that way. And then, but it's definitely best to listen to your body with that.
I think it was the pad thai. My husband really enjoys the pad thai, and that's like in our every weekly thing, along with the turkey chili.
Oh, good.
He totally enjoys that. Awesome. But the pad thai, we made it, and he's looking at it, and he goes, "Are you sure this is right?" Yes. He's like, "You sure? You measured this all out?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah."
Did you make it? I'm curious, with the miracle noodles?
Yes.
Did he eat those too, or does he eat it with regular noodles?
No, he
well, good for him.
He likes the miracle. Well, shirataki noodles.
Right.
We get it from the it's the same thing. We get it from the Asian market, and
that's the cheapest way. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. I know.
And and matter of fact, one time in there, and he's cutting them up, and he's walking, and everything.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful.
Oh, that's so good. I'm glad to hear that. That's great. And then you also mentioned that you really like the desserts. Is that the dessert smoothies? Or
Yes,
okay, so you do like those.
yes. That's
What
all I've
blender?
really done
Yeah.
still is the desserts.
Yeah.
I just haven't tried anything else.
Yeah.
I did make him some from Pinterest, almond joy cookies or something, but it's totally sugar-free.
Yeah.
It has the coconut flour in it,
Yeah.
shredded coconut, and I
Nice.
made my own chocolate chips
Awesome.
with just cocoa powder and the coconut oil.
Yeah, that's
So
wonderful.
it's kind of like Delight,
Yes.
but I made the chips, and so nothing was,
Right.
from a box or prepackaged
awesome.
or anything, and he loves them. So
That's
I
great.
was, I did try one of those,
Yeah.
and that's about as close to eating a cookie that I've had since April.
Gotcha. Yeah, some of those things, Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious with the dessert smoothies, what type of blender are you making yours in?
I have a Ninja
Okay.
and a Bullet, a Ninja Bullet.
Okay.
So I also have a crush function on my refrigerator.
Oh, nice.
So I use the crush ice,
Yes.
and I'll put that in the Bullet, and then I put that on the Ninja, and it makes it like snow cone. Okay.
Cool. Gotcha.
Yeah, but I still have a few larger chunks of ice, so that gives you that crunch, I guess.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So that's what I use. That's how I make them, and it works out great. It's like soft serve or even a thick shake.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you have any favorite of the dessert smoothies? Because I tried to include a variety of types like chocolate and fruity. And what was your did you have a favorite?
Well, I haven't tried the banana nut yet, and that's strictly because I love bananas too much, so I really have to watch.
You're like, it might be a trigger.
Yeah.
I hear you.
But I tried the key lime. Absolutely delicious.
Cool.
I mean, I really was surprised. The avocado.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Great.
But I think my favorites are the pumpkin.
Okay.
Because I love pumpkin, fall, Thanksgiving, everything about it.
Yeah.
And the chocolate peanut butter.
Oh.
Really enjoy that one too.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, and there was one time, I guess I have the powdered peanut butter.
Yeah.
And I was mixing it up, and I guess apparently it didn't mix all the way, but it just kind of clumped together. So I almost had these little clumps of peanut butter, almost like a Reese's peanut butter chip.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So I was like, ooh, this is like, a bonus on top of that. So
that's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
It's like certain times when things go wrong, it's actually good.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's great. Very cool. Well, so I think you've mentioned a little bit with your schedule already about how you do the cooking for your family. And then how did you utilize it with as far as your family eating them? Did they eat exactly the same, or did you add in a carb for them, or?
Sometimes it just depends on the recipe that we made that evening. Like the pad thai, they would just have that.
Cool.
Some of the other stuff, like the chicken and the chicken and mushroom, or the pork chop and green bean, or we try to have red meat maybe once or twice, just for my husband's sake. We try not to have too much of that for him.
Sure.
But I would always add in brown rice.
Cool.
So they would have their brown rice, or they may have corn or something like that to go with it.
And that was pretty simple to just add that in then?
Very, very simple.
Cool. Yeah, because that's, I think, the other thing that is nice for people to know, that with the program, it's you really you aren't having to make a bunch of your own food for P3 recipes and then having to cook something else for your family. The idea really is that these are recipes you can double or triple and have your whole family eat. And then, just you can supplement a little bit if you want with more of another starch for them.
Right.
But the idea is that it should be really doable. And families, a lot of the women are saying that they're able to eat more with their family, and that they kind of weren't doing that before. And so it's more of
Yeah.
like it's bringing the family together.
It is.
You
It
know,
is.
so that's good.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
there a couple of them that we really really like I said, is the chili, the pad thai, the spaghetti.
Oh, good. The spaghetti squash one?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
and you know, I always thought it was more complicated than what it is.
Yeah, it's not too
And
bad.
I was so surprised at how easy it is to make that.
Cool.
And before we went on, I say we because my family journeyed with me,
Yeah.
but before we went on P2, you know, we'd have spaghetti and always have the noodles, or once in a while I'll get the shirataki and just have it like that. But we always had the canned sauce. We absolutely love your recipe for the sauce so much that we don't even use canned stuff at all anymore.
Awesome.
Even though when I'm looking at the ingredients on the bottle,
Yeah.
or the brand that we buy, I could get away with it.
Right.
I just don't.
It
I
just
just
tastes
don't
good,
because
huh?
yeah,
Good.
yeah, because we just a few of them we really use, about 3 of them every week, and then
Awesome.
we fill in from there.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
so great. Very good. So, as far as the overall thing, then, were there any positive results from it following it that like surprised you? You may have already mentioned them, but just I like asking that because some people feel like they think one thing and then it turns out to be different. Like, so was anything surprising to you when you followed it?
I think overall, what really surprised me is just the amount of food.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, to be totally honest, that was just mind blowing.
Cool.
That I was able to eat that much and
Cool.
be able to maintain that. I
Gotcha.
mean, I really I would wake up every morning and just expect to see that I had blown it,
Yeah.
because the amount that we eat on this program compared to what you would eat before on
Yeah.
P3, or what I would eat before on P3,
Right.
it's totally different.
Cool.
So I would have to say I was totally shocked that you could eat that amount of food, that amount of healthy food, and maintain.
Cool.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I think, and for any of you guys out there too that even want to try doing a little bit of that on your own, even the premise there is how that happens is basically it's creating a balance of calorie dense foods, like using some calorie dense foods but smaller amounts of those ingredients in a recipe with larger amounts of higher volume, lower calorie foods, like the low carb vegetables or things that have more water in it, or leaner protein. Those don't have as many calories per gram. So when you combine that, I think I've made the same mistake in the past with calorie dense foods, the nuts, the cheese family, the dairy family, or even really high fat meats. Like you could totally have high fat meats, but just when we do that, we eat less of it and then we combine it with other things. So it's just, so I would easily overconsume calories, and the quantity would be small because they're just so calorie dense for the weight, you know? And I learned that too from this whole process. And I realized just how far a smaller amount of cheese and a little bit of fat can go with these other vegetables. And then you have a big meal, you have the taste, and it works out. It's so crazy.
Right. So when I would add like my fat in to increase the calories a little bit.
Yes.
Say I was doing like a week 2 recipe, but I needed to increase it.
Right.
And so say I added avocado in. Okay. I would then make sure like what I had for breakfast or my dessert, because you know you have to have that. You just have to.
So it's an everyday thing on the program. Dessert every night.
That's fantastic. What diet allows that?
Yeah.
So okay. So I would then make sure that my dessert didn't have like the coconut cream in it, or you know what I mean?
Right.
I would change that accordingly.
Yes.
So you really do learn this.
Yeah.
You learn what you're eating, and you're mindful, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
just switching
it's
stuff
really
up.
good. Yeah, yeah. But I do get you know, when you have the heavier vegetables, say like a broccoli compared to like cucumbers or something, you know,
Yeah.
you may have one little crown of broccoli, but you could have cucumbers.
Right,
So,
exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
you really learn a lot. And I think if people use your program, oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. If they use your program and they follow what you laid out, they're going to learn the entire way. So by the time they're finished, I feel, anyways, they're going to be able to utilize the meal plan section better.
Yes.
Because if you just go straight to that and, oh, I'm going to make my own recipes,
Yeah.
I don't know if people have had success on that.
Right.
I think personally myself, I would not have.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm glad that I went the way that I did
Yeah.
and just followed your program,
Yeah.
because even though you weren't right there in the kitchen with me saying, oh, you can't have that, I could hear, you know, just stick to the recipe.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, you're talking about the build your own meal plan kit,
Yeah.
right? As far as yes.
Yeah.
So
Thank
so
you.
you guys, so that you'll know what Elena's talking about. And you're right. I actually agree with you. I made that kind of in response to the demand for that, for people who felt overwhelmed at first. In some cases, when they saw the meal plan, it wasn't even so much that they had tried it. It was more like, this looks like it's overwhelming maybe. So I think I want something simpler, you know? So I
Yeah.
created a build your own meal plan kit. But I agree with you. I think that that's better left for after you've gone through either the original or simplified plan that's
Yeah.
completely structured, because you, like you said, it's basically like a taking a course, you know, like where you learn all of these things, and then you can put things together yourself more easily. Yeah.
I think what sold me on your program was because believe me, I went back and looked at it several times, and I was reading what I could read through your online site.
Yeah.
And then you had a video, and it has to do with the pumpkin pie smoothie that you showed. This portion compared to this portion, which would you rather have? That sold me. I'm like, pumpkin pie, I'm done. I'm in.
Good thing I mentioned the pumpkin. How funny.
Like, wow. But I honestly, when I saw just that comparison alone, it was really the point that I said, okay, I've got to do this.
Cool.
I have got to do this. And then my husband said, if that's what you want, then let's do it. Aww. And he agrees 100%. He is so happy that we went through this journey. So.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, and for you guys, I'll link to the video lesson that she's talking about, because that one's actually free for anyone. It's kind of a part of the way to show what the program does for you. Because what it does is I take a pumpkin mousse, like a ketogenic type recipe. It's sugar free and everything. I take that from Pinterest, and then I compare it to the pumpkin pie smoothie, and it's not necessarily to say one is bad or not. It's what it is it's a comparison of volume sizes of how much you get to eat for the calories, because I'm a big volume eater. And so maybe I'm probably targeting other women then in my program that also want to eat a fair amount, because I've just never been happy eating small amounts of food. So and so then you realize there's like, oh, if I make it this way, I get this much, and if I make it this way, I get this much, and you know, so that visual. So I'll link to that for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a great visual.
Cool.
Great. I would just make copies of your empty week.
Okay.
So I would take them, and there's 2 pages, and I didn't do it back to back. I would just do it like this.
Cool.
And then I would fill in what, I don't know if you guys can see it or not.
A little bit.
I would fill in what I would eat.
Cool.
And then on the end here.
Yeah, your totals. Yes. Yeah.
My totals. So that's what I would do. And then this is like one week, and then I'd save this one, and then I'll make another one, and then I'll make another one, and then we just rotate those.
Nice.
So that's how I do it. And so it takes me a little while.
Yeah.
But on Saturday, Saturday is our shopping day.
Yeah.
So Saturday morning I get up and I start asking, what do you guys want to have this week? And then I start putting it in the weekly calendar. So then from the main meals, I then do my breakfast. Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, I usually stick to those three. It's the chia pudding, the mud bread, and the eggs, bacony eggs. Yes. Love it.
Awesome.
So, and the nutritional yeast. Wow. I've never had that before. Cool. And I'm so surprised. Love it.
Awesome.
Sneak it in on them. They don't know. So anyways, I then set my breakfast up, and then from there, since I always make an extra serving, my lunch for the next day is taken care of. So all I have to do is worry about dessert. And then I adjust my desserts according to what my totals are so far. Perfect. And what my fat intake is, so that I can remain within your limits that you had set.
Cool.
And it works out beautifully.
Oh, good. Thank you for all that. That'll be great. Maybe we could even like have a little picture or something of one of your menus you filled out or something to put in the blog post or something.
I'll take one and I'll email it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that'd be helpful for everybody. And are there just any other last thoughts for others who are, on the fence, just trying to consider whether or not it's something they should try? What would you tell them?
Well, I would absolutely tell them that it is totally worth it. You will learn so much, and your body will appreciate you learning how to eat this way. I just can't express enough how much I've learned and what this has done for me. It's really amazing, and that's what I would share with everyone, that if you're on the fence, I totally understand that, because it's like, how many times have I done this? Right. Do I really want to? I mean, it's such an investment in the P2 part of it to begin with, and then, but it is totally worth it. Worth it. Absolutely.
That's good. I know I was thinking too that possibly sometimes what we wonder, when we look at things, because I look at other online training courses for other topics sometimes, and you kind of wonder, maybe is there really anything that different or new in it that I don't already do or know? You know what I mean? You kind of feel like that there's probably nothing else that drastically different. You know what I mean? But it seems like for most people that it is pretty different from what they've tried doing. Yeah. So
it is. It's a lot different, and not everyone wants to just remain eating the same foods, just 6 and 6 instead of 4 and 4 or whatever it is that they've portioned out. Because to me, when you hit P3, you really look forward to it, all the different stuff, but you're scared. And I totally understand that. And this program will walk you through the entire thing, and you can just learn your body really well.
That's good. Well, thank you so much for that, Elena. Yeah, no, I think that's all going to be really helpful. And again, for you guys, if you want to check out the program for yourself, it's at P3tolife.com. You'll see actually a lot of other just brief. I take clips from these full interviews, and I just put 1 to 3 minute clips of all the ladies so far that I've been able to interview with their success, so you can kind of hear, from their mouth how it's worked for them. But pretty much all their stories are the same as Elena's. So, but it's just nice to know that it's working for a variety of people, and and I'm so excited for you that you've been able to continue losing weight on your own now.
Yeah.
Because that's the cool thing is you said, I think initially that you just wanted to lose 10 more pounds or something.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where you might normally go back on HCG for, right?
Right.
But you're realizing that hey, if I just kind of do this at a slow pace, I can make these good meals and maybe even just do it on my own, and it's kind of empowering, I think.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. And you're exactly right. Some people would just go into another round, but I really just want to remain eating clean. And that's, I kind of consider your program like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's healthy, clean.
Right.
There's no processed, stuff, nothing
Yeah.
out of a box.
Yeah.
It's just, it's really wonderful to have a fridge full of food that I know I can eat.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic.
Cool. Thank you so much for
Thank
that,
you.
Elena.